Welcome to Roof It Up. This is a podcast about innovators, entrepreneurs, business leaders, and their stories about the course they took by Saenz Global.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Roof It Up. I'm super excited because you don't often see or hear other ladies on the podcast because like the roofing world tends to be, male dominated. But I freaking love when we have another lady on the podcast. So today I'm super excited. We have an incredible professional, business owner, and really impacting the world of all trades, and especially roofing as well. And so we have Andrea Lyles here with us. You probably know Andrea, but if you don't, I'm actually going to give her a few seconds to really tell the audience who you are and why we should listen. So Andrea, go ahead, take the mic.
Okay, so my name's Andrea. I am the CFO of Copper Masters Roofing and also the owner of Contractors Keeper, LLC. And so I actually came from a construction background, saw a need specifically in my husband's company, and then my company was born out of that, where I saw that I could help others build their businesses as well and find success and be able to provide for their families.
I love it. So you are, obviously we're going to talk about what you do and all of those things, but you literally provide it's bookkeeping, right? Like that's your jam. Like you help at the end of it, like bookkeeping, data, like really making sure that their expenses, they're ready for tax season, all that good stuff. So you do bookkeeping, and you just mentioned something really important. Like you saw a need in your husband's company, who owns a successful roofing company. And then from there, your business was grown, right? Where you're now offering these services to other business owners as well. Is that right?
Exactly.
I love it. Very cool. If you're listening to this and you are in sales or you own your business, you're probably like, I dislike anything that has to do with QuickBooks or anything of that nature, right? I know that's for me. Like numbers is not like, I love numbers. I love seeing them. But like actually like the whole compensation, like putting everything together can be kind of a little bit overwhelming for sure. So very cool. All right, Andrea. So how long have you been in business?
I guess combined, my husband's business restarted about 3 years ago.
Nice.
And then I founded my own business about 2 years ago.
I love it.
Yeah. But so, if I give you a little bit of my background prior to that, my dad's a contractor.
Nice.
My brother is a contractor. Then I married a contractor. I actually am a licensed roofing contractor. So the construction aspect of it, I have been involved in my entire adult life. And then it's been more recent with the office and bookkeeping side of things.
Okay. So it's literally like, you're like, it's like in my blood to be in the contracting world. Okay. Exactly. Totally makes sense. Very cool. Okay. So with your, so like, I know you kind of said you saw a need, but I guess what's your story? Like, I know that you're a licensed contractor. Like, how did that come about? Is that just because your family did it and you were really comfortable with it? Or how is your story? Like, how did you decide, hey, I'm going to go this route versus going any other route? Like, what brought you to where you are today?
Well, really, the construction aspect of things I've always been interested in. And my dad was always one to, just because I was a girl, he didn't care if I played with his tools. He showed me how to use stuff safely. I had access to things. I was always building things. Then when I was 19, I'm from New Orleans, Katrina hit. And so I got into doing relief work, and my main trades were roofing and drywall. And I loved it. And so I actually stayed working in construction for a little while after that. Then I went into a couple other things, helped my mom open a bakery, just had these little offshoots, but I would always come back to construction. Then once I got married and moved away, I'm in Mississippi now. I actually worked with my husband roofing for the first couple years of our marriage. And he said, you know what, I kind of want to start my company back up again. He had one previously and then let it go, did some other things. And then he's like, oh, I want to do that again. So he does. And he starts making some money. but we had no money. And I was like, okay, we have a little bit of a problem here. And so I asked him if he would allow me to kind of step in and see if we could get our finances organized and
Uh-huh.
be able to see where's this money going, right?
Yeah.
And he was a little bit resistant at first, as most men are.
Mhm.
But once we got going, I told him, so give me 6 weeks, okay? And then if you don't like it, then I'll step away. After 6 weeks, he was sold. And I
Awesome.
tell you, we went from living below the poverty line
Uh-huh.
to then paying off about probably over 10,000 in credit card debt,
Uh-huh.
buying a piece of
Awesome.
land all within a matter of like 3 or 4 months.
Amazing.
When I saw that was life changing, I said,
Yes.
I can't keep this to myself. I have to do this for other people too, right?
I love it.
Yeah. So
So
that's how that happened.
I love it. I love it. So there is a book that I read, and I think it's Profit First, actually. And he talks about how businesses are sometimes money eating monsters,
Yes.
right? And so it's like a monster. It's like you are pumping out revenue, right? It's really funny when businesses are like, I did 10 million in revenue. I'm like, awesome. What was your profit? It was negative 100,000. It's like, wow. It's like we like to talk about revenue, but really the name of the game is what's the profit? Like how much do you get to keep? Not just you as an owner in your pocket. I'm talking about like the cash flow within your business so that it can function properly and healthily, right? So yeah, you kind of said something really important, like you were making money, but you weren't making money. And so that's a reality that is for, I believe, every business owner, right? Because it's really a monster. And if you do not, right, control it, right, if you don't know the data, then you will make really bad decisions blindly. You'll think you have enough money for something, but you really don't because it's bleeding out. Like you're hemorrhaging, but you don't know it, right? And I think it takes a lot, like kind of what you said. Your husband was a little bit reluctant, as you said, as most men are. Men, I know sometimes that can be rough to hear. But just like it is so, it's life changing. So, like what you said, like we paid off $10,000 in credit card debt. We bought a piece of land within a few months. That's the power of getting control
Yes.
of the monster. So I love that. That is a real thing that every business owner deals with. And you have to confront yourself, right? You have to look in the mirror. And I always think of like, if I were to die, this again, morbid, but that's like what I always think of. If I were to die, would my business be able to run itself? And my goal is that it would, right? That it is in a healthy place, that people would still maintain their jobs, that people would still be able to function properly, that my family would be taken care of. But doesn't happen. That has to be very intentional. And knowing where your money is going is super important. Okay, vital.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. And then another aspect of it as well is, people are always stressed out at tax time because they didn't really look at anything the whole year, and then there's that panic and it's like, it doesn't have to be that way.
Right.
You could keep up with things through the year. Tax time to be a piece of cake. Just print out a piece of paper. Here you go. Hand it to your tax person. You're good to go,
100%. Shout out to our tax accountant, Mr. Allen, from Fergamon. They're amazing. And he literally makes tax season so easy for us, right? And so like, I love how you say that. It does not have to be a scary monster at the end of the year. Like, and I think what happens is, and I think this is human nature, right? It is something that is unknown. So the human tendency is if it's unknown, you tend to not want to face it. So because maybe you don't know your numbers, you're getting anxiety the whole year about tax season, but instead of being proactive to just like open up the curtains, face it as it needs to, and then being proactive to change, you just want to keep covering it up and then deal with it when you finally have to. And then it's like horrible, right? So everything you were scared of actually comes to reality because you weren't proactive. So no, I love how you're like, hey, I can make your life easier.
Yes.
I love it. Okay, really cool. Okay, so what are some of the sources of motivation for you, your business? Like, what are some sources of motivation and like what that we can take and implement?
Well, obviously, my own story, it was the initial motivation, right? And then I continue to see that played out as clients come to me and, in different phases in their business. And
Mm-hmm.
some are like just ready to go right off the bat. All right, you're getting a good start. But unfortunately, most of the ones that come to us at that point, like you mentioned, they've hemorrhaged so much that now they just need to plug a bunch of holes and figure out where they are so they can make better decisions. And I think seeing people in that condition motivates me to want to help them, but to also try to help others avoid getting to that point.
Right.
So to me, the people factor is the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
And even if they haven't gotten to that point, they just may not understand their business at all, right? And so being able to help them understand what they're doing, why they're doing it, what goals they can and should have, right? And how
Mm-hmm.
to get there. That's my motivation is people.
I love that. So I will tell you, as you're listening to this, I've actually met Andrea in real life. I met her at the Riva event, if I'm not mistaken. And when she's saying that her motivation is people, in just a few minutes, I think would literally say just even the first time of just like the first 10 seconds, you can feel that with Andrea. She's like she's the real deal. Like that's why we want you on the podcast, right? And you could literally sense that the moment that you meet her in person and even on the podcast, if you're watching, you could just see that the vibe that she really has is a genuine, she's in this to see you win. And that is really, it's almost, I would say it's obviously business. All of it is to obviously money is important, but I always say for our team, it's like the people impact, right?
Yes.
That's really the mission. That's what gets you up or gets us up to do what we do and do it the best that we, and refine what we do and keep growing because we want to be the best for our people. And you could totally 100%. I'm telling you, if you're literally listening to this and you're like, I'm hemorrhaging, or I feel like I'm about to hemorrhage, or I just don't know my numbers, 100%, like totally, Andrea's going to give a shout out later, but reach out to Andrea. I really know that you're going to be really, really welcomed by her. And that's really hard to find nowadays because for a lot of companies, you are just a number. And so it's really great to find companies like Andrea, where her team, this is here at Saenz Global, our contractors aren't numbers. We're your team. We're part of your team, right? And so it's this very different type of relationship that is something that's long term. So I'm Andrea, if I'm not mistaken, you're in this for the long run, right? You're there for your roofer when they're or your contractor when maybe they're under $1 million, and then you get to see them grow to $1 million, $5 million, which is again similar journey to what we've been seeing as well here at Saenz Global. Like we're in the journey with our people, right? That's what we want to be part of. So
may I just mention that I felt the same way when I spoke to you at Reba.
That's awesome. Very cool. Yeah, we both like people. Like our company's built on people. We love people. I love it. So seriously, if you're listening to this, if you're not seeing this on YouTube, literally Andrea, if you see her, you pick up the vibe. She's like the real deal. She wants you to win. So definitely want to work with Andrea for sure. Okay. What keeps you up, like not you personally, but like from your business, what keeps up your clients at night? Like what have you seen keeps, the people you work with, what keeps them up at night?
I have to say, unfortunately, I've seen some people be in such dire straits that they are filing for bankruptcy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or they're afraid they won't be able to make payroll.
Mm-hmm.
Just these big money problems. And most of the time we're seeing those issues once the company has already grown, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because then at that point it is that monster.
Right.
And if they didn't learn to know the numbers prior to that point, at that point they're so big that there are big chunks of money coming out, right?
Yeah.
And the concern is, where is this money going to come from?
Right.
And they know it doesn't just affect them, because at that point when the company is that size, their families are dependent on it, their employees and their families are dependent on it. So there's a lot of humans, involved in this that can be affected when things aren't quite going right. So that's one thing. And then another thing that I hear a lot is, I want to know that we're doing things right. So they may be concerned about one day getting audited, right? Or am I going to get penalties for doing this or that, right?
Right.
And so that's another aspect of it. Those are probably the two biggest concerns that we primarily hear when we're first meeting our clients.
Okay, that's super powerful. If it's kind of what the business journey, right? And it's kind of you hit it on the head. Uh, if you're a business owner and you maybe felt this, it's like it's no longer just a team of like, oh, it's just me. You have literal individuals who pay for their spouses, their homes, their food, their kids. All of that is reliant on your business, right? And so it only can hemorrhage for so long until it crashes. And so, kind of again, back to what type of owner are you going to be? Are you going to just crash, or are you going to be not reactive? Like, that's not the goal, but are you going to be proactive? Are you going to let like a doctor come in and diagnose you? It's, you know what I'm saying? It's almost as if sometimes we have a cut, right? Like, which would be what we're doing. And then you just want to keep putting a bandage on it. Like it's not there. And then it's getting fully infected, right? And it's going to at some point just like an infection on your arm or wherever it is. The cut is just like, it's pus is coming out. It is disgusting. It is bothersome, right? And you simply could just go to the doctor. They could literally undo that. They could, and most of the time they're having to maybe remove or cut through to like clean out all of the infection, but then you're healed and you're in a better place. The scar will be there, but it's a story of like what was there before. And I feel like that's kind of what you are. You're in a way getting really personal into people's story. Like you have to see their finances. It's like pretty much like going into their underwear drawer, right? And you're seeing like what's clean, what's not, right? And obviously that's very intimate to people because sometimes they might have to face that they are maybe, it's not failing, I hate that word, but that they're not being the best they can be. And that's scary for people sometimes. So again, with something so intimate, you want someone that is not judgmental, right? And that's Andrea. I'm telling you again, like she's seen it all, like a doctor's seen it all, right? Like from every part of the human body. And so it's funny, sometimes I get embarrassed in front of the doctor, but the doctor's seen it all, right? And saying, Andrea, is kind of like saying, hey, wherever you are, like seek help, even if you're not even hemorrhaging, even if you think your numbers are good, but you don't have that help yet, it's still really positive to get someone like Andrea that can look at and can be there and is a partner to help you win throughout the year, right?
Right, because doctors aren't just there for emergencies, they're there for your yearly wellness check,
Your
you might
well-being. Yeah.
have questions throughout the year. Yeah. So it can be a positive experience as well as dealing with emergencies.
Totally. And everyone, emergencies sometimes cost way more money, right? Like when I have to go to the ER for, I love my kids, but like if they're like in the ER, I'm like, oh man, that was like $1,000 right there, right? If, obviously emergencies happen, it's going to happen to everybody, but like don't put yourself in a situation where you have to go to an emergency because you didn't want to take care of your infection. You know what I'm saying? Like, be proactive, get some help. It's going to be a lot cheaper. It's going to be a lot less painful, literally, physically, emotionally, mentally, and you're going to be in a lot happier place.
Yes.
That happiness, I think people seek, they don't realize they can actually have it by simply getting accountability with their finances.
Yeah,
right?
You're exactly right. I'm glad you mentioned too the mental and emotional aspect of it, right? Because finances are really tied to who we, think that we are, right? And how we project ourselves to others. And then when that's not going well, then it kind of becomes an internal thing. And so it can be really painful and stressful to have to deal with these things, but it's better to get it done and behind you than to allow it to linger with you for years,
Yeah, it's just we got to do things scared. That is how we grow, right? We got to face the hairy monster. And usually once we face it, we realize, it wasn't that bad, right? So very cool. Like, what are you pursuing for 2023? Maybe for yourself, but maybe for your clients as well. Like, what is something that you're pursuing for this year?
Yeah, so I do have kind of the work goals and the life goals, and achieving the balance, I think, is my primary goal, especially as we've really seen a boom in growth at the end of 2022, and then we'll be at the upcoming roofing process conference as well, so we're expecting more growth from there.
Yeah.
So we are looking to continue to grow our client base, but keeping it what we call quality clients. In other words, they respect us and we respect them. They want to grow and we want to help them grow. They want to do things right. So you want to do stuff shady, then I'm not the person for you. But
Yeah.
so that's the work side of things as far as the clients. We've also been growing our team, and so getting everyone on the same page, making sure that everyone knows each other well enough and feels comfortable communicating all the way around. And then personally, the balancing side of things, right? So even as things grow, to have time for my family, my hobbies, to be able to achieve that. And so part of that right now is working on really honing our systems down, right? Getting our systems in place, which we've made great strides on already at the end of 2022. I think it's more of a matter of just having them in the right place where they're easily accessible to the team, and everyone can be on the same page and the way in which we do our processes. Yeah.
I love it. You just kind of, again, back to, you are, go back to helping people, right? So to help your clients, the best way that you can is, one, you're adding resources so that you're more availability to help more incredible contractors that want to be helped, that want to be good partners. And then also, I love how you're saying, hey, we're really investing in our processes and procedures. We want to be streamlined. And again, that is what makes healthy companies. And I love how you're like, we're about helping companies become healthy. And so we're going to portray that by actually being healthy as well. All right. And so when you're talking about systems and procedures, that's 100% what we need for success. 100%. Right. And so I love how, again, it just proves again, if you don't have someone that you're working with, Andrea is your person. If you qualify with like that attitude, you want to, want this. But I love that, Andrea. That's really cool. Again, and then yet you want to have that balance too of like, hey, I have a company I love and I still love my life, right? Which I'm always like, it's 100% doable. And that's why we preach that. And we really know it can happen. So very, very cool. I love it. Okay. So, this is kind of the wrap up here. So like, where can people find more about you? Also, I know you kind of hit it a little bit on the head already, but like, you want to work, you're not about the quantity. You don't want, like, you're not a factory. Your people are not numbers. Right. You're in this to win it with your partners. It's very same formula as we here at Saenz Global, but it's like, you want to make sure they respect you, you respect them. It's really a partnership, right? And so what type of partner are you looking for in regards to like, who you want to work with? Like, where, like, give us some data or some, like, if you're listening to this and you're like, that's me, definitely need to reach out to Andrea. So yeah, shout it out.
So first and most importantly, we only work with construction companies, but specifically the trades. Right. And so we're not working with home builders. We're not working with general contractors for the most part. It's going to be the trades. And then our typical client is between $1 and $10 million in revenue. However, we do take smaller clients who are looking to grow. Right. So we always want a client that has a growth mindset and wants to do things the right way. And so that's our ideal client. About half of our clients currently are roofers. And like I said, my own husband has a roofing company, so that's something that we're very familiar with. But yeah, all the construction trades are welcome.
I love it. So construction trades, not actual, like you said, not the general contractors, but like actually the trades that are doing those, that all align into that. So like electric companies, is that like it? Electrical, HVAC, right? Roofing, like name all the trades. There you go. Okay. So if you're between 1 to 10 million, and even if you're a little bit less than $1 million in revenue, but you really want to, 2023, you want to explode, definitely, again, being proactive, build a business that can grow and scale, that has a good foundation. Because kind of what you said earlier is actually way harder when you get into a business and they've grown, maybe they're scaled at 10 million and they're just a disaster, right? It is really hard to backtrack everything. So if you're in the early stages, it is really easier to get yourself situated a good foundation so you could build upon a good foundation. Also, making sure that you want to do things right, meaning buy like the book, right? Obviously, Andrea is there to use all the things that we can. As we know, there's like tax deductible benefits, all these things, but doing things right. That if you were to get audit, you have no issue. You can get added without a problem.
Nothing to hide.
Exactly. I love it. Okay, very cool. And so let's say they're like listening and they're like, yes, that is me. How do they get a hold of you, Andrea?
So the best way is going to be at our website, contractorskeeperllc.com.
Mm-hmm.
And we have our homepage, and we have a services and pricing page. So that's, laid out there. But you'll also see where you can schedule a free call, right? And so that initial call is up to 30 minutes, and we'll kind of get an idea of, your company, your goals. And then you also get to know us and see if we're a good fit to work together. And so that's if you think you're ready to go ahead and make that step. Otherwise, you can follow us on Instagram or TikTok, and it's the same, Contractors Keeper LLC. And then, you'll see when we try to post videos, mostly so that it could be most informational.
I love it. Very cool. Okay. So if you're listening to this and you are driving and you're like, I cannot remember that for the life of me, don't worry. If you go to this YouTube video or you're on Spotify, just scroll down and we will have all the direct links to Andrea's website and all her social platforms as well. So Andrea, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. Again, lady to lady, super proud of you. I know we are rare in this industry, but it's pretty awesome that we love the industry. So very cool. Thanks so much for being on our podcast. We really appreciate you, and everyone, we'll see you at the next show. Bye.